After what we will consider the most harrowing experience in the most recent times, commuting in the city of Lagos due to the heavy rainfall yesterday, we are glad that we're able to survive and make it to work this morning with our cars, and we're thankful that we're able to still commute today. We wonder what the situation will be like, because it's said that this is the rainy season and that the next few days will be a rainy one. What will happen to us in Lagos? We will come and face Lagos. That is how we are beginning the conversation this morning. But let's go on a very quick break. We'll come back to continue the conversation. Please stay with us. We're reaching you live from Lagos State, bringing you the update regarding political stories. We will also be bringing you updates regarding flood and how it's impacted our lives and the quality of our lives, actually. You're welcome to Breakfast Central. My name is Olive MOD, and this morning I'm not doing this alone. Glad to be doing this with my two Power Rangers. Joe Hansen to my right, Benga Borowa to my right.
Grey Ranger and the Green Power Ranger.
You guys
You're welcome.
You guys have done it again.
Quite a surprise. Eh?
Wow, what a surprise.
But it's a darker tone. Great mind. It's also
like.
a great mind, even though he's not wearing the same color with us. But his singlet is green.
I wonder, if they were paying money for this thing, I would say okay. But this one that you call, Olive, what are you wearing?
He did not call me. That's not true.
We're just connected intellectually. And we're both born in July, by the way.
Yeah.
So it's a July thing.
Okay.
Anyway, let's do the formal introduction.
Yeah.
Reach you live from the city of aquatic splendor. I repeat.
Aquatic
splendor. Yes, welcome to Breakfast Central. A special welcome to all the amphibious residents of Lagos, because this time around our spirit animal is turtle. We are amphibious. We walk on land and in water. Lagosians will be able to relate with me on this. I mean, it's the deluge has been a lot. Flash flood, coastal road, global warming. All of that has an effect on what we're going through in Lagos today. I mean, places that you would never see that are typically flooded. Adeola Adeku was a river yesterday, Falomo area. I saw a video, and Joe testified to it earlier this morning. I mean, just look at these scenes. I can imagine. See, for single ladies out there, if you're looking for a man to settle down with, this is the best time to find yourself a mechanic, an auto repair mechanic. Because they are smiling to the bank. They're actually laughing to the bank. Ha, 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 ha.
Really laughing, honestly.
It's, jokes apart, it's not funny. I can imagine what people are going through every day, and they have to make it to work. The unexpected expenses they will be spending in fixing their fuel. But, I mean, in fairness to Lagos State, they put up, Mr. Tokunbo Wahab, does put up a weather advisory, the forecast for the next day. On his Twitter page every day, but I'm not sure if that would do you a lot of good. And if employers of labor can allow people to work remotely this period, it will really go a long way. You're welcome to Breakfast Central. We have 3 hours of packed, interesting, deep analysis for you. So sit back, relax, and enjoy your morning coffee. I am Benga Aboro. I hand you over to the leader, the very gentle Joe.
Oh, I thought you were going to say very dark Joe. Okay, go ahead.
Yimu.
This is what they say, Yimu.
What's Yimu in English?
Yimu is ascot. Sorry. I was going to say ascot.
Olive, you are the lawyer. Answer us.
I will answer you before the end of the show.
But anyway, thanks guys. I haven't really slept, and the reason is because the traffic was horrible. And I think the commissioner and all those involved in sand dredging along the Ajax is, like Ajax, they should please look into it. They've destroyed the roads. The roads are in terrible condition. I think I saw someone yesterday, and I could tell why he was frustrated. It's like people saying roadworthiness, people on the road, drivers, they're angry. They're like, get out, leave the way. Because
yes,
your car is in a deplorable state. Your car is, let me use the pidgin terms, your car don't drink water. Then somebody comes and says, oh God, hello, excuse me, where's your roadworthiness? But would you leave there, for goodness sakes? Would you clear out? I was in this traffic yesterday. Apparently, Breakfast Central is a 3-hour program. I spent 4 hours plus just from Ikoyi to VI to Adela Odeku. 4
Less
hours.
than 5 minutes.
Something that you do in 5 minutes, 4 hours yesterday. And then from the island down to the Lekki corridor was another 1 hour plus. So when I did the total, I spent close to almost 6 hours on the road. I mean, and this is Marina. This is the popular car park in Marina.
If you decide not to even drive out,
your car will still
come and meet your car.
My own experience yesterday was that at some point I started crying. And that's, it's sad that when we talk about the right to dignity of human person, the reality of living in Lagos or in Nigeria sometimes strips you of that. Wow. Yes, there is the climate factor, but there also is the structural and infrastructural factor, the human factor that has contributed. Why are the floods all of a sudden this terrible in Lagos? I was navigating or trying to navigate the floods, and at some point I started crying because I had to lift up my leg. The water was coming into my car. You literally could hear I could hear when the water was bubbling into my car. I was just hearing the thing bubbling in, and I knew that I was done for. And after a while, I saw everywhere water. The cars in front of me, the water was getting to almost some people's windows. That is the reality. Wow. And what's even worse is for those of us who live on the island, you're paying exorbitant rent. You're literally paying through your nostrils to be able to afford rent on the island because the rent has increased. And then you now have to live in this kind of situation. So I was just there thinking about, and if I'm being honest, I mean, I'm going to be 100% honest. Yesterday, the thought that crossed my mind was, I really love Nigeria. I love my country so much. But does my country really love me? That's how I felt about all of that yesterday. I began to think about the quality of life that we're living as Nigerians, and I didn't want to talk to anybody. I was so sad. So sad to think that this is what our reality is. And that every time it rains, I'll be having palpitations. I start praying when it's raining. I'm praying, I'm scared.
So my point is, at this point, don't we think we need to revalue, for want of words, not devalue, but let's revalue the houses we have on the island?
Who will revalue it?
No, because what is this? What is this
what
thing
exactly
of?
Are you paying?
What are we paying? What is this thing of? It's just only rainy season. After rainy season, when it's dry season, everything will come down to normal.
It's not normal.
Let me explain one thing. The damage this water has caused on houses and roads, I bet you, even when August break comes, it will take nothing more than almost 3 to 4 to 5 months to fix it.
And they also need to do a structural evaluation.
And that is if the landlords or the landowners would want to fix it. Because in Lagos now, if anything gets spoiled, the landlord will say, after all, are you not the one living there? Can't you people just put the money together and fix it? So the damaged houses have, in short,
I mean,
I don't think 3 months will be enough.
The roads are terrible.
Deplorable.
It's really, really sad that people have to pay taxes.
This morning, on my way to work, the bus stops were empty. Unlike yesterday, it was filled up. I heard people got up around 12, 1 a.m. Yes. A neighbor I saw came in around 1 a.m. And guess what? This morning, I'm going out. The neighbor is also going out to work. I mean, we're much more like symbiotic twins. You have very little sleep. You have to put food on the table.
I wish I had sent this video to the team.
It's very sad. And there you have it. What can we do? What can the government do? Well, I think it's also high time that the government should notice that Lagos is starting to become a state. Of course, we're surrounded by water, especially on the island. And it's now time to take serious punitive measures to say, listen, why do we have to wait till it starts raining before we start clearing the drainages?
And that takes me to my next point, because this is what we do. If we don't see a clear and present danger or an emergency situation, that's why a lot of our approaches to problems are called fire brigade. We won't do something about it. When it's dry season, the landlords are puffing their chest. Everybody is happy. You're going about your business. You know, people don't think of the future. We don't plan ahead. The desilting only starts when the first rains start falling. It should be a continuous exercise. Follow the master plan through and through. People that are building on drainage channels, people that are contravening building laws, demolish if you have to. It should be a continuous exercise. You shouldn't wait for flooding to happen before you do this. Some of it is nature, but a lot of it can be mitigated if we deal with the human factors. Trash, Lagosians too, people don't learn. They will still throw trash in the open drainage. And it's just a very terrible situation.
And we don't even see the long-term implication of this. Part of the maybe even short-term implication of the floods will be one. People's cars are going to break down terribly.
The human beings.
No, I want to start from the machine, then I'll come to the human beings. So the implications that we're going to see as a result of these floods will be one, the people's cars will break down. And unfortunately, it's not like it's cheap to replace your car or to replace your car parts. Right? It's almost like it's a taboo in Lagos to drive a salon. If you don't have an SUV, you're setting, and it's not even fun again. It's not luxury. It's not leisure. An SUV is now a necessity to be able to survive and
Olive, even the SUVs were crying yesterday. Yesterday, the Benzes, the Benzos, they were parked.
I feel sorry for them.
I feel sorry for people driving
the electronic systems, the steering rack.
Goodness.
The cheapest is $1 million.
What about the gearboxes? The engines?
So we're talking about cars and the difficulty with replacing cars. Then human beings, those who are not driving cars, the cost of transportation, which was already high, is going to skyrocket because, as we know, when there's a flood, when there's a situation like this, inflation suddenly kicks in. There'll be there'll be difficulty in finding buses, and when you find, they'll be more expensive than usual. Then let's talk about the health implication. Cholera, typhoid this season. In environments where they're already struggling to afford potable water, I shudder to imagine what it's going to be like in this season. People that you can't even tell, everywhere becomes less hygienic. We are really setting ourselves up. We've been set up for problems. And we are begging, we are appealing, we're calling on the Lagos state government to do something.
This is not how people should be.
This is Marina.
This is Marina.
I don't have any memory of Marina being this flooded.
Let's take a look at some of the videos. Let's take a look at some of the videos.
Marina Siemens, so Lagos State now, wow. It's in Marina Siemens. Marina Siemens. Jesus.
Wo kanta bó ti ń gbé lọ rẹ rẹ. Kí ni téèbù wa ń kọ́? Ìgbé sí ṣọ́ọ̀bù yóò kọ́ sí. Bí bẹ̀bẹ̀ kó wa, ó máa fi iṣẹ́ àyè mú bí bẹ̀bẹ̀. Kẹ́kọ̀ọ́ fi iṣẹ́ àyè mú bẹ́ẹ̀. Ó ń wọ lọ, ó ti ń wọ lọ. Ó ti ń wọ lọ. Ó ti ń sọ nìyẹn. Ó ti ń wọ lọ. Iṣẹ́ àyè.
And this is the reality of what it is like to live in Lagos right now. And it's not just limited to the island. Yes, the island is feeling the impacts, but what we're saying is that typically safe areas before now, places that typically aren't flooded, are beginning to be flooded. So the question is, where is safe in Lagos? Where is safe from the floods? And we understand that there is a climate element, but we must be prepared. We're not surprised. Climate change did not begin in 2026. We knew that there was climate change, and the impact of climate change will be extreme weather conditions, extreme heat, extreme flooding. So what did we put in place? And NIMET also did give predictions. So what measures have we put in place to properly prepare ourselves to be able to encounter this flood? That is what we're asking. We'll go on YouTube to see what Nigerians are saying, and then we'll take reactions on X as well. Good morning to our YouTube audience. We hope you didn't have to swim to work or from work yesterday, and you don't have to swim out today. This morning, good morning, this morning, Mr. Johnson says, the flood has never been this bad. I think something is wrong. Something happened. And it's so sad that the people in charge are not helping. We are guessing this is caused by not well-planned coastal road. But the minister is denying this. Mr. Wahab also doesn't see the possibility of our guessing, but they are not telling us what could have caused this mess. They turn everything to politics each time you speak out. Imagine Marina, no way the flood hasn't been this bad. Something is wrong. Michael Zu says it appears the master strategies built Lagos without a master plan. What does it take to realize that Lagos Island is below sea level? Ochodi says, Aqua men and aqua woman. That is two of you, aqua men, me, aqua woman. I see Poseidon too. It's a very painful situation. I feel for you guys. We feel for ourselves too.
I feel for all the residents of the city of aquatic splendor.
I feel for myself.
It's really aquatic
because you know that it is love
days.
and passion for your job that will still make you show up. After what I went through yesterday, I'm not even trying to garner any sympathy. I was crying yesterday because of how depressing it was.
Don't worry, our MD is working, and you know that saying, after working, kiloku.
Badun local,
So put on your dancing shoes. After
Let's see what Nigerians are saying. These green lanterns.
Green lanterns.
Let's go on the ends. James Bodek says, water entered my car today on Alfred Ruwani Ikoyi. Massive flood on the island. May God help us. That's Alfred Ruwani yesterday.
And that's a standard road.
You need to see the flood that was...
But that's a standard road.
This is really getting out of hand. Yes, it is. This is the period when a lot of Lagosians will be rethinking their life choices. And lady, you are absolutely spot on. I've not stepped out of my house to Ireland for over a week now. And from the reports I'm getting, the current situation is even worse than what I experienced about 2 weeks ago. Answer, yes, it is. Sadly, the rain doesn't seem to be stopping soon, and it's going to get even worse than this. You all stay safe out there. Yes, we're trying our best, but of course, another one, our mega city turned to river, my dear. Serious
Please,
river.
according to NIMET, when is this supposed to end?
It's not stopping. It's not stopping. It's continuing. They've told you it's not stopping.
Are we not going to rethink our life choices? Maybe New Central should move to mountainous region like Idore Hills.
That would be good.
Yes.
Representing from a top line.
Let's take a look at our next story.
From on top of the world.
I don't know what Benga said. Our next story happens to be an update on the Oyo abductions, guys.
Okay.
Oyo State Governor.
The Oyo relief.
Yes, now released.
Now they've been released.
Oyo State Governor
Rescue.
Seyi Makinde has made a bold appeal to the United Nations and international human rights bodies. You're wondering why? To investigate the shocking abduction of school children and teachers in Oriire Local Government Area. Though the victims have been rescued after weeks in captivity, Governor Makinde says the circumstances surrounding the attack and rescue are sufficiently grave and unusual, he says, to warrant independent scrutiny. He emphasized that this call is not to undermine Nigerian institutions, but to strengthen public confidence by ensuring accountability. The governor mourned the teachers, security personnel, hunters, and members of the Amoteku Corps who lost their lives during the rescue operations, describing the tragedy as a painful reminder of the need for stronger security measures. Governor Makinde insists Nigerians deserve a full and transparent account of what transpired, whether institutional failures, negligence, or collusion contributed to the ordeal, and also what steps must be taken to prevent a recurrence. Prior to, he actually had like a press conference. It was in that press conference he made that statement. But prior to that as well, he also said something over the weekend when he met with Governor Bola, who happens to be his running mate now under AP. And he said, why is it that it is when I decided to run for president
that the abduction happened the next day?
At 4 p.m., 9 p.m., something like that. But let's watch both videos. Let's start off with the previous video, and then we'll watch the recent one, which was yesterday, where he made a call to the United Nations and the international body. Let's start off with the old one first, the old video, and then we'll come to this one.
I came here this afternoon to consult with my brother on wide-ranging issues. You recall that just the two of us were the two governors of on the platform of APM in the entire country. And if you look at the configuration of the country right now in terms of the governors, the APC, they have 31 governors in the APC. We're the next, the two of us. And then you have one governor from Labour Party, one from ABGA, and one from Accord. So that's the 36 state governors in Nigeria. And for me, consulting with my brother is a no-brainer, because if I have challenges, before I run to anybody, I'll run to somebody that I know is of the same stock as myself. So that's why I came here this afternoon. The circumstances surrounding this incident are sufficiently grave and unusual to warrant independent scrutiny beyond our domestic institutions. I therefore, with a full sense of responsibility as the Executive Governor of Oyo State, call on the appropriate international human rights and accountability mechanisms, including those within the United Nations system, to closely examine the facts surrounding this abduction and the circumstances of its resolution. Such scrutiny is not intended to undermine our institutions. Rather, it is intended to reinforce public confidence that the truth will be established and that every person found to bear responsibility, regardless of office, influence, or affiliation, will be held accountable. Under the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the primary responsibility for national security rests with the federal government and the security agencies under its command. The Nigerian people, therefore, deserve a full and transparent account of what happened, who was responsible, whether there were institutional failures, negligence, or collusion at any level, and what measures must now be taken to ensure that no community is ever subjected to such an ordeal again. This is not about politics. It is about justice for the victims, reassurance for our people, and restoring public confidence that every Nigerian child can go to school without.
When we started, the first week, they were bringing biscuits for them, maybe to make them comfortable. But along the line, that stopped. Then we had to move from one point to another, and that was a major problem we had. When the place is discovered, we have to move, and that starts around 7, 8 in the night. Sometimes we walk 3, 4 hours. That is most of the bruises you see on our bodies. The children? Yes, yes. They carry the last 3, Salam, Waliyat, and Testimony. The girls, the secondary school girls, will carry the tail. The other ones, they will have to walk. We'll fall sometimes, a lot. We were in the forest, in the open, most of the time, under the sun, under the rain, with the children. But we kept going because there was no way out. We knew it's God that could only help us. So that really helped us. And the fact that we believe that people are praying for us, that also helped us as well. Personally, I was not beaten, but some of the children were beaten. You know, children, some of them are quiet, some of them are loud. And what they hate most is noise, that it attracts attention. So the youngest of them, maybe the 2, Waliya and Salam, they were the ones that took the best of the beating. They will close their mouth, tie it with clothes, and beat them very well. Then the men, they had it worse than us because they were blindfolded, handcuffed, and chained on the leg. All of them until they remained 2.
All right, there you have the video, and there are concerns regarding the governor's request to call on the international community to come in and take a look at how the rescue mission was done, how it happened, and keep track on what really took place. He says it will aid accountability and help you and I and every Nigerian to trust the process more. But let's see what Nigerians are saying before we react to the story. Let's go quickly on X because of our time. And on X, what are you saying there? What do you think? What are Nigerians saying regarding this? Well, let's get to see. Aki Abubakari says, don't you want full transparency? People lost their lives. They deserve to know exactly what happened. And those responsible should be held accountable. That's what another one. Duke of Africa says, I love this. Seyi Makinde, fire on. This is quite different from what others have said. Cheesy says there's something they are not telling us. That's what Cheesy says. Dave says he 100% knows what went on, but he can't just say it. And another one says, for a governor to come to say this, that means there's more to the kidnapping. Benga Olive, I don't know what
this happened in Governor Seyi Makinde's backyard. He's the chief security officer of Oyo State, and of course he would have first-hand information and intelligence on things that are happening. And in his press statements, which I find contradictory, in one hand is calling for international agencies to come and investigate, and at the other hand is also saying that this is not to undermine the Nigerian security operatives and institutions. Well, the Nigerian institutions and security operatives have told you how they rescued these kids. Mr. President released a statement, and I don't think the answers are adequate for him, and it's not satisfactory for him, and not just him, a number of Nigerians. But in typical Nigerian form, we'll say, you know, let's give thanks to God that these kids have been rescued and the ordeal is over. So let's move on.
Okay.
But, the problem with moving on and not having full accountabilities, we're bound to repeat the same mistake. So it would be nice for us to get a full gamut of what really happened, because the governor, as chief executive, will not just come out to make such bold statements if he didn't think there was more to it.
I'm going to share the presidency's response to Oyo State Governor's call, and this was a statement made directly to the Punch newspaper. Special advisor to the President on Information and Strategy, Bayo Onanuga, said the governor's request suggested a lack of confidence in Nigeria's security institutions, insisting that the military and other security agencies had already provided explanations on the rescue mission. He says, and I quote, "The governor has just expressed his opinion that the UN should probe this incident. Our doors are open. Let the UN come if he thinks there is more to it than what our military has explained," he said. He, however, questioned the basis for the governor's demand, arguing that security agencies has no reason to deliberately subject Nigerians, especially children, to prolonged captivity. First, we're happy that the kids are back. We're happy that the principal or the headmistress is, back. We want to please appeal to media, to the government. First of all, is enough. That woman needs to go and rest. She needs to go and reunite with her family. She's been through a lot. She did not apply to be the official spokesperson for the terrorists, but they unofficially made her that. So we've had enough interviews with her. She needs to go and rest. But that being said, the governor has made his calls, and I believe that he is in charge of his state. Being that there may, and I'm not saying that I agree or I disagree, but if a governor comes out to grant a press release and says that he's calling for investigation, maybe he's saying something that the ordinary eyes don't see. Maybe there's something that we cannot see, that regular people can't see, and that he's saying, you know what, my hands are tied in this case. I'd rather an external party. And if you have nothing to fear, then like Bayo Onanuga has said, his doors are open. It's like somebody coming to say here that NDLE is coming into New Central. They want to come and raid for drugs. Are we going to hide?
No.
We have nothing to hide. Come in, check our studio, check everywhere. There's nobody that is into drugs because we have nothing to hide. But before somebody maybe the governor would make that kind of call, there may be something that he's seen. Oh, it's the broader breach of trust that I have sung like a broken record.
That Nigerians have in Nigerian institutions.
Exactly, especially because he
and
has
there are
also
other people too that have said, look, it could be politics also. So all of
if it is politics, what's the worst that will happen? The worst that will happen will be that there will be an investigation and it will be found that nothing, this is all clean, they're clean as we. So bear in mind, there's also been another abduction barely 24 hours after the release of the Oriire school children. Another headmaster in the same Oyo State has been kidnapped. So, and I'll just quickly share the details. He's a 60-year-old man. His name is Matthew Owade, the primary school headmaster of Nomadic Basic School Ibojaye in Itesiwaju Local Government Area of the state. It was gathered that he's a member of the NUT. And this happened on Saturday at 6 p.m. while returning home from his farm in Buduare, Itesiwaju Local Government Area of the state. And the alleged kidnappers have reportedly asked for 30 million naira. This is the reality, and this is where we are. Let me take a few comments on YouTube regarding the story. The call of the governor. Moki Chukwemeka says, Oliver and the gang, I said, thank God yesterday that the kidnapped victims have been released, but I stopped there. There's more to this than the propaganda from the government. Femi Olagunju says, good morning, News Central. The kidnapped victims have been released, and what the governor should do now is to step up new strategy to prevent future occurrences. Calling on other bodies to probe is not okay. Michael Obieku says, they were kidnapped in their school uniforms, but came out in their house clothes. Wonderful APC. Mr. Johnson says, yes, and I fully support the call from the governor. Arthur Rich says, how can citizens be subjected to this harrowing experience in a country with a government? Why the resistance to independent investigation? Well, so far, there hasn't been any resistance to independent investigation. The resistance would be by word of mouth, but the presidency have said that they are open to any investigations that will occur. Marcus McCain says, after hearing what this woman said about the kidnap, I am left with grief in my heart that the government have finally failed. There must be total investigation to this matter. And Marcus McCain goes on to say, God bless the crew of News Central. You guys are the best now in the country. Move on with your integrity. Thank you for the kind words. Femi Olagunju says, the governor is only this is Moki Chukwemeka responding to Femi Olagunju saying, the governor is only a chief officer of the state on papers. He doesn't have control like the president. Hopefully with this state police, everybody now has command. The command and control will rest with the governors, and then we know where to take the bulk of the quote-unquote blame in this scenario.
It's a lot. It's a lot to take in. And I think if the governor has said this is what he wants to do, and the presidency has said, okay, if you don't have full trust, then go ahead and do it. I think it's an open field now. Let's see what the governor will do. Let's see the steps he's going to employ, what it would lead to. And I think there's nothing wrong in carrying out an investigation. It's his own choice. He's the chief security officer. If he says, listen, I want a forensic report on how this was done, what particular area were they found. We had a guest join us yesterday, security expert Onyekachi. Onyekachi said, I mean, kudos to the team, the joint force, but he wishes that their video was a bit clearer and it was a bit, there was more explanation. Yeah. So what that means is maybe people need to know, okay, this was where they were kidnapped, this is the location they were. And again, it's also to stop any future occurrence. So maybe he needs that
send
report.
a warning to intending terrorists and kidnappers and bandits that, look, this is how effective the Nigerian army is, and they need to really invest. It's not to do, videos and then put soundtrack behind it. There should be a narration. Defense headquarters briefing. There should be someone who would explain. I mean, I always reference this: the Bin Laden killing in his compound in Abbottabad in Pakistan. The Navy SEAL Team 6, how they came off the Black Hawk, how they retrieved his body, how he was killed in a gunfight, and then buried at sea. They give you all the details so that if you're a terrorist element and you're watching, you know that the Nigerian army and military are not to be messed with. You have everything. Just to add that there are political parties that have thrown their weight behind the ask of Governor Seyi Makinde, the NDC, ABGA, SDP, YPP. Labour Party has dissented from this. And also to mention that there was a claim, it was reported that, there was a claim that the president did not call Seyi Makinde during the days, Governor Seyi Makinde during the days whilst this captivity, whilst this victims were still in captivity. So there's a political framing that we cannot undermine, that indeed there is a political element to all of this. And the political element is regarding what he has said, that if it is confirmed that the president truly did not call the governor or reach out to him during the period of captivity, it might infer that there really is some measure of political tension, and that might give them some calling argument. Is a two-way street now. The governor can also call the president. Well, valid. Yeah, so. But I was also anyway. But why they would expect the president to call the governor is because it is the president that's commander in chief. Remember when the governor doesn't have the authority in that sense. When NSAS happened in Lagos, Governor Sanwo-Olu took photo album to President Buhari in Abuja, and Buhari told him, we don't have money to fix all these buses or all these things. Now go settle that problem by yourself. Let's take a look at the top stories for today on Breakfast Central. Thanks for joining us if you just tuned in. Let's see what we're talking about this morning. This morning on the show, we'll be taking a look at the ADC leadership. Another roadblock. Appeal court nullifies David Mark-led Congress. We'll also look at the federal government. After so much backlash, they finally suspend NECO-WAEC fee increment. That deserves it. Yes.
Despite initial rumors, Tinubu retains Shetima as ruling mate over the weekend. There were, celebrations here and there. NSCDC seeks special court to prosecute illegal miners. I will look at the front pages of the newspapers. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Stay with us.
You're welcome back to Breakfast Central. Fresh legal hurdles have emerged for the African Democratic Congress, ADC, following a court ruling that upheld an earlier order restraining the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, from recognizing the party's National Executive Committee and congresses led by former Senate President David Mark.
The judgment adds another chapter to the ADC's ongoing internal leadership dispute, raising questions about the legitimacy of recent party activities and the implications for its preparations ahead of the 2027 general elections. While the ruling does not determine the substantive leadership dispute, it preserves the status quo pending the final determination of the case. Well, joining us as we examine the court's decision, what it means for the ADC's leadership and the road ahead as the party seeks to position itself as a major force in the lead up to the 2027 elections, is a member of the ADC. We do have Mr. Ohio Ajakai join us this morning. Thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome. Good morning, and good morning, viewers. It's good to be back.
So it's pretty much like every day, another drama. Every day comes with its own fair share of trouble. Can you share with us what this means for the ADC, especially for those who are listening and those who have been following your party or have hopped from one party to another in the interest of ensuring that there's a viable opposition?
So thank you very much for the opportunity. This judgment concerns our internal party congresses. It has no bearing on the leadership of our chairman, David Mack. The hearing itself is regarding the state party chairman, the ward chairman at the state levels. So in the grand scheme of things, it has no bearing on our party chairman's position as chairman of the ADC, and that's what this hearing was about. It was 3 judges sat to deliberate on the matter, and 1 ruled in our favour in line with the party constitution, and the other 2 disagreed. So this is where we are at the moment. But it has no bearing on our party chairman, and in line, it has no bearing on the candidates that emerged from our open primaries that we conducted in the ADC.
So what exactly is the implication of it if it doesn't have a bearing on your chairman?
So so there are 2 distinct processes, right? So we need to first of all understand the disparity between a party congress and a party primaries. Our chairman, by way of the National Working Committee, conducted party primaries at the ward level, from the central trickling down to the ward level. The state congresses, if we had a case of closed primaries like we used to have before the Electoral Act 2026, where the state chairman and the delegates selected candidates for the party, then yes, these primaries are null and void. But they're no way null and void because the plaintiffs, who are the state chairmen, didn't take part in the open primaries by way of selecting our candidates.
Now, so is the party, your party, ADC, considering an appeal to this judgment?
Yes, we are. We will. The legal team are advising us on the next steps, and we will hopefully be submitting an accelerated appeal because we're quite conscious of the time limits that we have in line with annexed deadlines. But the worst case scenario, the Supreme Court does have the power to ask INEC to stop, to hold, to accommodate the ADC's case. So it will most likely be an accelerated hearing at the Supreme Court.
Now, what do all this barrage of court cases do to your party, the psyche of the party? Because elections are a few months away, and preparations are obviously in line to, to remove the APC from government, because I believe that's the ambition of the ADC. what do all these court cases really do? What effect does it have on the party leadership and also party faithfuls?
So we've had two main court cases. One is regarding chairmanship of our of David Mark's candidacy, which was ruled, I believe, last month or thereabout, that he remains a substantive chairman of the party. That's the Nafi Bala court case, and this case is regarding the state chairman. And we're a party that believes in the rule of law, which is why we're going through the appropriate legal measures to address these issues. And a party that believes in the rule of law is clearly a party that's ready to govern. So for us, we see it as a bump along the road, but we would like to assure every member of the ADC, every supporter of the ADC, every Nigerian that believes in a new Nigeria, that we're doing what we're doing to offer a credible alternative to what we're going through at the moment as a country.
Okay. I mean, critics are arguing that the recurring leadership disputes is actually weakening your party. How concerned is the ADC about the impact of this litigation? And most importantly, how do you think this will affect some of your members who may seem to be tired of the back and forth litigations, court problems, go here and there? Don't you think it would dampen their mood and also dampen the mood of the party? The elections are not far away.
Yeah, not at all. I mean, this matter purely borders around the governance of our party. It actually increases our resolve, if anything else, because it shows that we're fighting, we're united, we're reassuring our candidates that all is well, and we're doing what we can to ensure that we remain on the ballot, and we will remain on the ballot. Our selected presidential candidates, governorship candidates, House of Rep candidates, senatorial candidates will be on the ballot. It increases our resolve because it shows how united we are. It shows how resilient our party chairman is, and they've fought through these court cases and emerged victorious and still standing. So that shows you what we will be like in office. We will be a party that listens. We will be a party that would offer Nigerians a credible alternative and do what's right for the sake of the country. So it is worth fighting for, and that's what we're doing at the moment. It increases our resolve. We're not discouraged whatsoever.
Your party has projected itself as a credible alternative for the 2027 election. Does that position still stand, looking at the very short time frame we have between the drama happening with your party now and the 2027 elections?
So I must make it clear that we're the first party to applaud our presidential candidate, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, and his running mate, Rotimi Amechi, onto the portal. We've almost finished the uploads of our candidates. Like I said, this case doesn't border around our primaries, our candidates whatsoever. It borders around the state chairman, which is a totally different matter and has two different legal distinctions. So it doesn't in any way whatsoever. We're well prepared for the elections at a state level and at a federal level. If anything, worst case scenario will be to re-elect state party chairman from a federal level down. It just means that this case is relating to the tenure of the state chairmen, because this state chairmen were legacy ADC chairmen who were in the party from a few years back. So what they're saying is we want to finish our tenure without being replaced by a new party chairman. So the worst case scenario would mean that we hold a new sort of party sort of selection process to select new party chairman. That's what it means in the grand scheme of things, but it has no bearing whatsoever. It's been amplified as having a bearing by those who don't want ADC to be on the ballot. When you see court cases, you think, Atiku is not going to be on the ballot, our governorship candidates are not going to be on the ballot. It has no bearing whatsoever. We're well prepared, and we're very confident that we will emerge from this process victorious.
Now, Mr. Ajikaye, I know campaigns officially kick off in August, but beyond the courtrooms and your drama with the government in and out of the courtroom. At what point will Nigerians start hearing about your alternatives on inflation, insecurity, unemployment and governance? Because these are the most important issues. This is why Nigerians are going to the polls. It's to determine their future with regards to all those things I mentioned. So beyond just the appointment of Alhaji Atiku Abubakar as the flag bearer and his running mate Rotimi Amechi, when do we get into the nitty-gritty of your policy thrust and directions for Nigeria?
Yeah, we will be. I mean, at the moment we're finishing up the uploads for all our candidates. Once INEC closes the registration timeline, then we will get into campaign proper. We will then be in a position to inform Nigerians about our economic policies, our policies with regards to macroeconomic policies and with regards to governing and getting Nigeria back on track. Our presidential candidate is very, very experienced, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. He's been involved in government. He understands Nigeria through and through. He's a pan-Nigerian. Understands the complexity of the nook and crannies of Nigeria. So yeah, we will be getting into campaign proper. We're not deterred by this court judgment whatsoever. A temporary defeat in court is not a defeat at the polls. I want to make that clear, to say that Nigerians are ready to vote for the ADC. Nigerians are ready to listen to what we have to offer, and we're ready to govern.
All right. Let's just wait and see. I mean, you've said you're going to appeal, and I guess that's the next step that we as journalists will be looking to hear when this will take place, what will happen next, and what the results will definitely look like. Just like we've asked many questions here, the countdown is on already. August is just around the corner, and the campaigns will begin. We wonder how the ADC, with its many court cases, will engage in campaigns and yet still be able to field the candidate successfully without interruptions. But we'll wait and see, especially from your party. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Taking time to speak with us this morning.
You're welcome.
Clearing the air. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you. Cheers.
All right. Very interesting conversation concerning the ADC. The political campaigns are looking to start in August. That's just one story.
And you said many cases. At least they won one last month. So the cases are reducing. The one on the leadership of David Mack that was brought by Nafiu Balagombe. So I'm also wondering what's Nafiu Balagombe's status. Is he still a member of the ADC?
I really don't know, because the last time I checked, they said they were going to give the access to the portal, the back end, to the political party. And what we see there is not his name. So I was wondering, where is he now?
Maybe he's a prodigal son, or maybe he's still in the political wilderness.
And then on the other hand,
he was seen hanging around with strange bedfellows.
I see.
That's one of my favorite
And on the other hand, while that is going on,
fellows.
the Labour Party has been able to field its own presidential candidate. I don't know if you've seen their presidential candidate. They've been able to field their very, very powerful force.
And I also, talking about political presidential candidates, I also feel for Professor Sandy Ono. Because the leader of the People's Democratic Party.
Exactly. The presidential candidate for the PDP.
We had the pleasure of speaking with the, I believe, publicity secretary of PDP, and he said he does have a strong chance. That is, like, we don't know who he is.
He has not,
but
he has not
the FCT minister, they said, like, he stands no chance. What would that do to his morale?
To be honest, the PDP should have been honest with itself to know that it was not going to field the presidential candidate for 2027. The minister of the FCT, Nelson Wike, had said that from the jump. Many would argue that he's not PDP, but he has said it from the jump. The PDP is in disarray.
Well, he doesn't speak for all of PDP.
He doesn't speak
but there's
for
a second PDP that wants to field President Goodluck Jonathan that said presidential tickets is not a computer game. That is consulting. Is it still consulting?
That he sent somebody to come and collect it.
Absentia.
My brothers. Honestly, the PDP should have just understood that maybe 2027 is not their time to put forth a candidate.
A party that ruled Nigeria for 16 years.
It is sad. It tells you what Nigerian politics has become, and that
parties in Africa.
You have to learn to outwit the opposition. You have to learn to.
It doesn't all go well for our democracy.
No, it doesn't.
But that also tells you that the
all.
APC needs to also be careful, because in years to come, they could also be like the PDP.
Exactly. No condition is permanent.
No condition,
when PDP was holding swear, they said, look, they're going to rule for 60 years. Who knew they were going to?
The person who said that eventually potted.
Well, the one
lessons of history
with politics is that there are no permanent friends or enemies, only permanent interests. Let's now tell you that Nigeria and Brazil have recorded a major breakthrough in their agricultural partnership, with both countries moving into the implementation phase of key agro-trade agreements aimed at expanding market access, boosting exports, and strengthening food security. Speaking during a high-level meeting with the Brazilian delegation led by Agriculture Minister André Fio at the presidential villa in Abuja, Vice President Kashim Shettima says milestones achieved have cleared the way for private sector participation and increased agricultural trade between both countries. News Central State House correspondent Bettina Nweli brings us more in this report.
Vice President Kashim Shettima says Nigeria and Brazil have moved from dialogue to delivery in their agro-trade partnership, marking the start of implementing key agreements under the Nigeria-Brazil Strategic Dialogue Mechanism. Brazil also announced plans to open its market to Nigerian exports of hibiscus, sesame, and shea butter, with the required phytosanitary certification nearing completion.
As these new markets open, your leadership will be indispensable in preparing farmers, cooperatives, processors, and exporters to satisfy international standards, to add value at home rather than surrender it abroad, and to ensure that these opportunities ripen into jobs, into incomes, and into growth across our domains.
At the same time, Brazil is equally committed to expanding access for Nigerian products to the Brazilian market. As part of the understanding reached between our governments, Brazil has committed to open its market to Nigerian exports of hibiscus, sesame, and shea butter.
Minister of Agriculture Abubakar Kyari described Brazil as a model for agricultural transformation, while Jigawa State Governor Umar Namadi pledged support for the initiative, expressing confidence that partnership will boost exports, create jobs, and strengthen economic growth in both nations.
One of the areas that that we, in terms of agriculture, is to open up the collaboration and trade between Nigeria and Brazil. Brazil to export apples into Nigeria, and also Nigeria to export sesame and hibiscus into Brazil. So what we have discussed today, by and large, is about the plant health regulations, the quarantine issues, the phytosanitary regulations, and we have worked that out, and it's been cleared, and we're happy to announce that private sector should take advantage of the opening between Brazil and Nigeria.
And now we are fully ready to ensure that the hibiscus and sesame production has reached an advanced stage. And definitely, as of today, we contribute over 75% of the Nigerian non-export revenue because of sesame and hibiscus. So that means over time, Jigawa State will be the largest contributor in non-oil export to Nigeria.
Officials from both countries say the partnership is expected to deepen agricultural cooperation, expand export opportunities, and deliver lasting benefits to farmers, processors, and businesses in Nigeria and Brazil. In Abuja, for News Central, Bettina Nweli.
Very interesting. The Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps has called for the establishment of a special court dedicated to prosecuting suspected illegal miners, saying that the prosecution of arrested suspects is usually delayed by existing judicial framework. News Central's Idong Joseph tells us more.
For too long, Nigeria's mining sector has been dominated by illegal mining activities, fueling insecurity and the laundering of proceeds that should have been used for national development.
It is no longer news that illegal mining operations fuel insecurity in Nigeria and that drastic measures are needed to ensure that the enterprise is seriously discouraged by deterrence, which could only be effectively achieved by diligent and swift prosecution of offenders.
Mining marshals say that out of 671 suspected illegal miners arrested, only 397 have been charged to court due to judicial constraints.
The prosecution of arrested offenders is challenged by delays associated with judicial bottlenecks in Nigeria. This goes to underscore the need to create a special court for prosecution of illegal miners. Alternatively, since the Federal High Court is the court with requisite jurisdiction over mining offenses, it is humbly suggested that the Chief Judge of the Federal High Court may exclusively designate some judges.
In a bid to address these challenges, the House of Representatives convened this workshop to develop practical solutions to end illegal mining activities.
By security threats that have, in some of our communities, turned mineral-rich lands into contested, dangerous territory. This is precisely why the House of Representatives constituted this committee.
The objective of this workshop is clear: to extract credible information, evidence, and expert recommendations.
Stakeholders, while emphasizing the need for stronger collaboration, expressed their commitment to tackling the challenges confronting the sector.
Now it is our duty to come up with modalities how we are going to build up the mining sector.
The Nigerian Government Forum is also well committed to the state's interest and their role in this critical sector.
The Speaker of the House, represented by the Majority Leader, assured stakeholders of the National Assembly's commitment to reforms aimed at strengthening the mining sector and attracting more investments. In Abuja for News Central, Idong Joseph.
To Breakfast Central. Let's bring you a recap of the top stories we've looked at this morning on Breakfast Central. Appeal Court nullifies MAC-led state congresses. We did have a conversation on that. And NSCDC seeks special court to prosecute illegal miners. And Nigeria-Brazil trade deliberations focus on markets for hibiscus, sesame, and others. And let's tell you what's coming up next on Breakfast Central this morning. The federal government has suspended NECO and WAEC fee increment amidst public outrage. Tinubu retained Shettima as vice president, show candidate, and INEC opens CVR Center, extend FCT voter registration. Stay with us. Breakfast Central continues shortly.
Welcome back to Breakfast Central. The federal government has bowed to public pressure, suspending the proposed hike in WAEC and NECO registration fees. Parents, students, and education advocates had raised alarm over the planned increase from 27,500 naira to 50,000. Today we ask, what does this suspension really mean for the future of education in Nigeria? Joining us to help unpack the implications of this suspension and the broader challenges in Nigeria's education sector is an educational consultant, who joins us all the way from our Abuja studio. We have Professor Peter Piper. Thank you very much for joining us this morning, sir.
Thank you very much for having me. Always nice to be here.
It's great to have you. Professor, are you excited about this suspension? Is it more about the optics of avoiding the backlash, or is it really the genuine concern for access to education?
Well, let me first say there is nothing to celebrate at all about it. First, it shouldn't have happened in the first place. And if you ask my opinion, I will say that even the 27,500 is even an overestimation for a payment for a mere certification. You know, I feel very, very disappointed with the Minister of Education and those always chosen to oversee the education industry. You know, this is an indication of their mindset, you know, the way these people reason, the way they see education. They want to profit from everything. So for someone to pay for WAEC and NECO, 27,500 is too much. In our generation, how much did we pay for WAEC and NECO? And then when you actually talk about it, what exactly is the cost of sitting for these examinations? So I'm not excited at all about it. I think instead of even reverting the amount to 27,500, that amount should be slashed in half. Nigerian children deserve a whole lot more than that. The only time I will get excited is when there is a shift from schooling to education. What we are experiencing in Nigerian schools is schooling. Perhaps I will explain the difference between schooling and education.
Professor, we would appreciate if you could explain the difference and also your assessment of the state of education today in Nigeria.
Yes, I think that schooling, when you are into schooling, the end product of schooling is certification. The end product of education is knowledge and skills. So we have a country where the emphasis is on schooling. So that's why you can see wherever you want to get a job in Nigeria, everyone is asking, where is your certificate? Where is your certificate? When the British colonial masters brought in this schooling system, the reason was entirely different. They brought in a curriculum which was meant to fill certain spaces in government. I dare say that the curriculum we are implementing in this country presently is obsolete, does not meet up with the present reality on the ground, and even asking someone to pay 27,500 naira for WAEC certificate. How much is the job you're going to get? Go round everywhere with your WAEC certificate and ask for a job. How much are you being offered? How much is the minimum wage? A country that finds it difficult to pay 70,000 naira minimum wage is going to ask you to pay 50,000 to get a WAEC, or a NECO certificate. I think this is criminal. So when we talk about education, the end product of education is not certification. It is the knowledge, the skills, your capability to do certain things. And I dare say that the reality on the ground is we are coming to that time when Nigerians will choose not to go to school because school only gives you a certificate. They will rather choose to be educated, and you can get an education without the necessity of going to school and even without the necessity of getting a certificate.
Okay, there's a lot you've said there, and I must say this, I totally agree with you, 100%. I've also always said that it's not about the certificate at the end of the day if you've not been able to gather anything that would help you propel and move forward. But coming back to this WAEC scenario, are we certain that this call-off wouldn't lead to what we would hear in the future, words like subsidized? Because there are fears that maybe very soon we'll hear educational sector is now being subsidized. The original cost for the WAEC fee is 50,000, but the federal government will subsidize it so you can keep paying 27,000. That's one. Fears. I just want to highlight on the fears. And secondly, I also want us to look at the fact that the minister is trying to change the curriculum. Don't you think there's too much going on within the educational sector just to transform it? Or should we take it step by step and focus on the very important things first?
All right, thank you very much. Now, as to education subsidy, well, if you subsidize education, you're doing a good thing. But let me just say what I think. This is my gut feeling. I believe that the reduction is just because we have elections coming up. And I have a feeling that in a few months or years from now, or maybe after the election is over, they're going to revisit the same thing and they're going to do that which they want to do. So whoever has come up with the idea of increasing that amount of money had a purpose, had, an end game, but realizing that the time isn't ripe for it and that it might have repercussions in the upcoming elections, they quickly jettisoned the idea. Remember, they said it was suspended. They never said it is canceled. So, and now coming to curriculum. Please give me time, to talk about this. What is a curriculum? A curriculum means everything you do in the process of acquiring knowledge and skills. For instance, let's say in the year 2050, what kind of jobs will Nigerians need? What will be the problems we will have in the year 2050? That will be what will determine the curriculum. So I need you to understand why I distinguish between learning, schooling and education. So if you're really going to do education, what you call an education curriculum is the set of knowledge and skills that you need to solve the problems of the future. So what are going to be Nigeria's challenges in the next 50 years? What kind of roads are we going to need? That's going to determine the engineering curriculum. What type of energy are we going to need? That's going to require a curriculum to solve that problem. So when you talk about a curriculum is an ever-changing thing. It is not cast on stone. The curriculum, we have in our schools today are still that old, archaic, obsolete, regurgitated curriculum imposed upon us by our colonial masters, teaching you things that when you get into the workplace, you discover that everything you learned in school is practically useless when you find yourself doing the job, because they never took out time to understand what is a curriculum. A curriculum cannot be separate from the problems you are trying to solve. So before you determine a curriculum, you will first say, what is the problem? What is going to be the challenges of Nigeria in the next 50 years? Then we are going to know what kind of solution are we going to need for that? And then we begin to develop a training of citizens with the competence to handle these challenges. And this training now becomes the curriculum. So a curriculum is something that is tailored to solving the problems. What kind of roads are we going to need? What kind of challenges are we going to face in the next 50 years from now? And how do we train and prepare people that can handle these challenges? That is when you begin to build a curriculum. But right now, what we're doing is we are still following the old colonial curriculum. At that time, they needed people to work in the ministries. They needed people to work in companies. They needed factory workers. So all of the curriculum, the things that were taught in schools, both in colleges of education, in polytechnics and universities, were all meant to produce people that will end up becoming factory workers, working in industries. That's why if you ask someone in those days, what do you want to become? They say, I want to be a lawyer, I want to be an engineer, or I want to be a doctor. The reality has changed. So when in terms of curriculum, we have to to start redefining for ourselves what is going to be the challenges of our country, what is the demography, how many engineers are we going to need, what kind of doctors are we going to need, what are the infrastructural challenges we are going to be faced with, and how do we now build a curriculum based on these futuristic challenges to train an intelligentsia of people with the capabilities of handling these problems in the future. That is what the curriculum is supposed to be. That is what the Minister of Education is supposed to be thinking about, and not just increasing the school fees. This is a very funny country where we get the worst of us to be at the helm of affairs. That is why often we hear people say, well, we want to change the uniforms of the NYSC, as if the problem has to do with the, well, you know, with the aesthetics or the outward look of it. So our country is in a challenging situation where we need to bring in the intelligent people to actually be in these positions and boldly profess solutions. Nigeria needs critical thinkers. We need people who are going to think out of the box, a kind of revolutionary mindset if we truly want to be in the League of Nations. That's what I think about it.
How would you access education in President Bola Tinubu's time, 3 years of education in Nigeria? What's your assessment of it? Are we better off than where we were? Are we worse off?
One word: failure. I boldly told you here without mincing words that we don't have education going on in this country. What we have is schooling. And I'm saying it is time to stop going to school. We need to stop schooling and start educating. Educate people based on the necessity. So if you ask me to make an assessment, I think the Minister of Education should be sacked, because he has not brought in anything revolutionary. He has not shown a deviation from the thought process of the past. Look at Nigerians today. You know, how are they making their money? If not for social media, people are making money from TikTok, making money from Facebook, the youths have been so proactive. They just discovered how to make their own money, you know, how to, you know, create their own blogs, how to create, you know, their own economy, you know, for themselves. So we need a Minister of Education that will come out and say, can we sit down and think, what are the challenges we have in this country? Based on the challenges, it is the curriculum is something that will be based on the challenges of your country. That's what forms the curriculum. A curriculum is not just something you imagine. So if you ask me in one word, what do I think about education in Nigeria? There is no education. What they are doing is schooling. All the universities, colleges of education, you know, polytechnics, monotechnics, secondary schools, they're all schools, not places of education.
I think my follow-up to that would be, oftentimes when we hear criticism leveled against the current administration in different ministries, sometimes they would refer us back to the fact that the problems did not start with the current administration. Is that excuse, you know, will that excuse suffice to say that the challenges with Nigeria's educational sector did not begin with this administration? Also, the second part of the question is, you have called for Dr. Tunji Alausa to be fired. Does it matter to you the credentials of the person? Do you think that whoever you would like to suggest to be Minister of Education should be someone who has a background in education?
Well, now, when we talk, if you follow my trajectory, you will know that I believe more in a radical reform. I believe what I want is a total education overhaul. So when we're talking about the previous administration, always blaming things on previous administration, you are the present administration. Why did you come into office? You came into office because you want to change it. So don't be afraid of a radical reform. What we're talking about, we want educational reform, a total reform of education. Let us redefine what learning is. Don't teach me skills that I wouldn't be able to use. You know, when we still depend on foreign engineers to build our roads and infrastructure. So when are we going to develop, you know, the local, you know, content, the local capacity to do all of these things? That is what education should be all about. So you don't have to be a professor or a doctor or even a graduate to understand this. Take a look at the Japanese method or the Chinese, you know, a form of education. When right from the kindergarten, they're already teaching you how to couple things together. Some of the phones, some of these electronic gadgets that is exported from China to Nigeria, are they made by professors? Are they made by doctors? Are they made by people who went to the universities, colleges of education? No, they were made by people who were trained, specifically trained to be able to do certain things and produce certain, you know, results. That is what education is all about. Education is not about having a BSc, a master's degree, a PhD, or being a professor. That is not education. Education simply means the acquisition of knowledge, skills, and competence to do particular things. That is what we need. That is what education is. But what we're doing right now in this country is schooling. And I will never stop repeating it. We don't have educational institution. We don't have a minister of education. We have a minister of schooling and school affairs.
A good place to go on a short break, Professor Piper. We still have a few things to unpack before we wrap up this very important conversation. Do stay with us. Breakfast Central continues shortly. Welcome back to Breakfast Central. We're currently having a conversation on the state of education in Nigeria following the reversal of the WAEC and NECO increment. And joining us to discuss this is Professor Peter Piper. Now, Professor, the Ministry of Education is pushing back, and they maintained that the current fees no longer reflect the actual cost of conducting credible examinations, the cost of inflation. They say logistics, security, and technology expenses add up, so therefore they are passing the cost to consumers. So if these fees cannot increase significantly, and you're even asking for subsidy, how should Nigeria sustainably finance WAEC and NECO examinations without compromising its integrity? I mean, it looks like valid points on paper.
Yes, on paper, everything is always very valid on paper. So it's time we begin to tear and rip up these papers and throw them out of the window. Let me give you another example. If your car should break down in the middle of the road, what you need is a mechanic to fix that car. What are you going to be asking that mechanic? Are you going to be asking him if he studied mechanical engineering? Are you going to be asking him for his certificate to prove that he can fix that car? You're not going to ask anything of the sort. All you just want to know is that if he has the competence, the skills, the tools, the necessary training to deliver, you know. So, but when it comes to governance, politics, or business, we do the direct opposite. You know, we are coming to a time now where we should completely jettison the past. We are seeing professors of law that are negating our constitution. We are seeing vice chancellors of universities that are complicit in the rigging of elections. We are seeing people with all forms of credentials doing havoc to this country's economy. So I think it is time we begin to rethink what education represents. It's time we begin to understand and ask that even the 27,500 naira for WAEC or NECO, is it worth it? Is it worth that paper? What is the real cost to them? What does it cost them, to organize these exams? Is it the paper that you are paying for? Is it the computers for the exams that you are paying for? That money you are paying for NECO and WAEC. It's time we begin to ask for a breakdown of these amount of money. Exactly what is it worth? Where is the money? What is the real cost of getting these exams, handled? And even these exams, please go look at the questions they are asking in these exams and walk out into the streets and flag down a common man and ask him some of these questions you see on the NECO or the WAEC sheets of paper, and he will tell you, hey, get out of here. I have nothing to do with these, type of questions or answers. So I don't really understand what we're paying for. It's not worth it.
Dr. Piper, that point, it's quite funny though, in as much as it's sad, but it's hilarious because when you stumble on the question, I agree. When you stumble on the questions, especially recent questions,
especially after Bansuya,
you ask yourself, what's really going on? Why are we putting these questions? Anyway, I just want to quickly read out something to you as a final thought from my end. The Minister of Education, Dr. Maruf Alausa, has actually proposed a 2.4 trillion naira a budget for the 2026 fiscal year. And I'm just going to go through the breakdown. 966.9 billion naira for universities, but yes, we still have the lecturers and others still going on strike, ASU, NASU, you name them. But he also went ahead to budget 633.3 billion naira for educational parastatals, he calls it. 382.0 billion for polytechnics and colleges of education, 257.9 billion naira for Ministry of Headquarters operations, 155 billion naira for Unity colleges. But yet, the Nigerians are being told to pay 50,000 naira for WAEC and NECO. How do we juxtapose these two? Looking at these figures and looking at what Nigerians are being asked to pay, is it that the educational system or the minister wants to make money, in quotes, to foot or fund these bills?
Very good question. Maybe I should call Omawumi to come and help me sing. If you ask me, now who I go ask? Because when you look at the budget, these people come up with a whole lot of money in the budget. And then you still get money from the students themselves. And at the end of the day, what are you given? You are given a piece of paper called a certificate. And you ask yourself, what should I do with this piece of paper? You are supposed to take that piece of paper and go and meet an employer and tell him, well, because I have this paper, I consider myself qualified to get a job. And the employer said, oh, well, this job has nothing to do with this paper. It has to do with what you yourself can do. Now, let me put this question back to you. I know you're supposed to be the ones asking me questions, but let me ask you, if as you are seated there right now in the studio, someone should bring the exact WAEC question that you did some years ago, don't change anything. The same question, even if you had A, B, or whatever you had in your WAEC, bring the same question paper, put it before you in the studio right now, at this very moment, and they give you the next 2 or 3 hours to answer those questions. Are you sure you will pass it?
I won't.
Are you sure you will pass it?
I'll pass government.
Because you've forgotten.
I'll
The
pass
truth
English,
about it
maybe.
is that you read it because you wanted to pass the exams. You read for a purpose. The purpose was you needed to pass the exams, so you have to memorize everything the teachers have said, and in the exam hall, you have to force yourself, put yourself in a state of mind to remember everything. Now, can't you see what happens these days when people graduate from schools? They wear white clothes and they tell people to sign on it. They even come out and break their pen openly because, oh, I have survived it. Yes, schooling is over. It's over. Yes, I am. Because they feel they don't need it anymore. They don't need it. That's why I'm telling you that I did this experiment some times ago because I kept some records. I looked at my WAEC, question paper, and it was as if, why were they asking me all these stupid questions? I can't even remember any of these things. And I'm supposed to defend that, a result, So it's time we begin to truly, sincerely, if we want progress for this country, let us redefine what education is. Let us redefine what we need as a country, where we need to go as a country. We have a population of about 250 million Nigerians. It has been projected that in the year 2050, which is not a long time away from now, in 2050, Nigeria's population will be between 450 million to about 500 million. I need you to think about it. Some of you are still young. You're going to be around in the next 24 years from now. It is being projected that our population will be no less than 450 million to 500 million people. You can see the flooding going on. The roads are not going to expand. This territory we call Nigeria is not going to suddenly expand, but the population is going to expand. What type of jobs are the people supposed to have? How are they supposed to make a living for themselves? What type of infrastructural development are we going to require at that time? These are the things that should determine what our curriculum should be. And we need intelligent people who will sit down, think this thing through and decide what kind of skills do we want the future Nigerians to have? What type of knowledge? What type of education? That is what should determine the curriculum, not the imagination of some professors sitting in air-conditioned offices.
Thank you so much for your time. Thank you, Professor Piper, for joining us. And I think we've had a very fruitful conversation. Let's hope that after the elections, we will not get to sit again.
A reversal of a reversal.
Based on a reversal of what has been done. Thank you for your time.
It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. And thanks for enlightening us, because some of the things that happened to me, I was forced to draw a cockroach. And I don't know in biology class, and I've not seen any use of that cockroach since I left secondary school. So your points are very valid. Thank you.
It would have been better if you had thought how to couple a camera or a microphone, which we're using today.
Yeah.
So we get the message. We get the message.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, let's move on down to our next story. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has inaugurated a mega continuous voter registration center at the Old Parade Ground located at Area 10 in Abuja. The initiative is in partnership with Yaga Africa, aimed at expanding access to voter registration, easing congestion at existing centers, and encouraging more eligible Nigerians like you in the Federal Capital Territory to register ahead of the 2027 general elections. The Commission says that the center will operate daily from July 13 to July 26, following a 2-week extension of the exercise.
This third phase, a total of 31,835 new voter registrations have been successfully completed across the Federal Capital Territory. The establishment of this mega registration center is therefore aimed at, first, to increase access to registration for citizens in FCT, given the high volume of eligible voters. Secondly, to reduce the stress associated with accessing registration centers. Third, to accommodate the expected increase in the number of prospective registrants. Fourth, to ensure that no eligible Nigerian is denied the opportunity to register due to distance or congestion. This initiative.
This partnership is particularly important for us at Tiaga Africa because we have seen the need to support the institutions, INEC particularly, to provide the opportunity for more Nigerians to register for their permanent voters card. If you also see the data that is presented by INEC on the number of registration, we believe that that number can be better. Number of people are registering, but that number can be better given the population of the country.
Very interesting. And at this juncture, we can rightly say that Nigerians living in the FCT, you have no excuse. You cannot blame the FCT minister. You cannot blame the incumbent. You cannot blame anybody because INEC is doing every single thing it can to ensure that you register. So there are no more excuses. We'll wait to see if it's going to spread. Yes, wait to see if it's going to spread across different states, not just in Abuja, but also in Lagos.
You are living in the outskirts, like where all of you used to live in Abuja, around Nyanya. How are you supposed to make it to...
You take bus.
I have never lived in Abuja. Please, let's go on a break.
No, we're not. We're not done with that discussion.
We are done. We'll go on a break.
See the speaker.
Time. See you after the break.
Thanks for staying with us on Breakfast Central. The PFIPC scandal has taken another twist as Adeniyi Adeyemi, who claims to be the Director General of the disputed Presidential Foreign Investment Promotion Council, rejected the ICPC probe that insists actually ordered by the President. Adeyemi insists that the anti-graft agency cannot deliver impartial justice because it answers directly to the government implicated in the controversy. Now, he bluntly declared that nothing will come out of the ICPC probe, arguing that only an independent panel involving civil society, international observers, and human rights groups can guarantee transparency. The scandal, which involves a 1.3 billion allocation in the 2026 appropriation bill, has already sparked outrage among Nigerians who question how such a fake agency was funded and staffed. Critics argue that the presidency cannot investigate itself, especially when senior officials like Chief of Staff Femi Gbajabiamila have been linked to the controversy. Adeyemi claims he has verifiable evidence but fears for his safety if he surrenders under the current administration. But this morning on Breakfast Central, we're still going to take a look at what Nigerians are saying about this story, in as much as we have to bring it for this hour. But then again, that is the latest conversation surrounding the hashtag Gbajagate. We haven't forgotten about it. We're following it very closely. And here in the studios, we've been looking at it, especially from the time in which the story came to the limelight up until now. What has been done? Initially, the president was silent until he spoke out, and his speech was clear. He wanted the ICPC to investigate, but Nigerians are not okay with that. They feel that the ICPC is still an instrument of government. Rather, they would prefer an external body. Maybe we could look at the likes of those who are involved in account generation management, alongside the SSS or the DSS, as you want to call them, and others joining forces to have a complete review and complete investigation done to see if there was any foul play from inside of the government up until when the acclaimed DG was asked to report himself to the police and was interrogated. These are the conversations, or these are the questions, rather, that everyone seems to be asking. Guys, I don't know how far and so good what is happening to the hashtag Gbajagate, but it seems like the person in question is saying already, he's given up already, saying nothing concrete will come out of the...
Yeah, he also has questions to ask. You can't just, I mean, in law, if you offer a bribe, you're also as guilty as that, as the person who's taking the bribe. So he has questions to answer as to the source of his 400 million. Why would you, if you feel you have to serve your country, why would you need to pay for that sort of huge amount to secure an appointment? It doesn't work that way normally. So there's so many questions to be asked and answered by the gentleman in question. And by the way, he's still in hiding. I wonder...
His day in court has not yet come. I wonder what everybody's using.
Yeah, but the police says he's a person of interest, that they need to talk to him. They want to ask him one or two, but he seems to want to speak to the judge or wait for his day in judge. 27th of July, I presume is the date, and we'll wait to see if he makes an appearance. But this story is not going away. We know what the news cycle does, the freedom of the Oriire children, how it's overshadowed. Yeah, but still, we know how important it is to our national discourse and issues bordering on accountability and transparency.
Again, just to highlight what both of you have said and to add that the ICPC, being an agency of the government, is not lost on Nigerians. It being an agent of the government or agency of the government, in some sense, makes the party a judge in its own cause, the presidency a judge in its own cause, which takes away from the principle of natural justice. So the ask here is that there be an independent body that is not the ICPC, one that is independently constituted. Maybe eyebrows will have not, gone up regarding the presidency's ask of the ICPC to investigate this if Gbajabiamila had stepped aside or had been asked to step aside. Even more worrisome was the fact that the State Police Implementation Committee was set up and he was put in charge of that committee. And what many people interpreted that as was like the government doubling down on their stance, because the initial stance of the government was protecting Gbajabiamila, saying that Mr. Prince Matthew Adeniyi is a fraud, and that Gbajabiamila really didn't have a part to play in all of this. And what Nigerians are asking for really is just fairness. And in the interest of fairness, what many have argued for is that Gbajabiamila should have stepped aside. And what the government can do, or what the law enforcement agents can do, is ensure that there's a speedy investigation and trial, so that whoever it is that is culpable will be made to face the law. Bear in mind, no matter how this turns, it is not a good look for the APC-led administration. It is not a good look for the government, because how did the PFIPC have a line item in the budget to the tune of 1.3 billion, and it's gone unnoticed? And this then raises the question of what other things, what other agencies, what other line items have been snuck into the budget. The Senate quite conveniently comes out to say that they won't look into this one because it's sub judice, is a matter already in court, and no one has brought this before the House. If the Senate doesn't see and accept responsibility in the sense that this budget was defended before the House, then it raises a lot of questions, again, about the integrity of the government.
And there are those, there's a particular senator, I'm trying to remember his name, he did release a video over the weekend, I'm not sure if you saw it, that look, this questions border on the integrity of the Senate as an institution. So therefore, we can't just, we need to look at it independently and also do an in-house search, beam the searchlight on it that Nigerians are looking forward to us. But it's just one in hundreds of senators, so I'm not sure if he's going to have his way.
I agree with you. I mean, these questions are questions everybody is asking. If you have a fake agency, and yet that fake agency made it into the national budget, that shocks me. I mean,
and I would like to go with the terminology of Mr. Adeyemi, the guest we had last week. Fake means it's outrightly fake. And for something to make it into the budget, there's a certain level of legitimacy. Yeah. So the terminology fake is not. He used a particular
Maybe I should take my word back. Maybe we should just use it as a questionable agency.
Yes.
Yeah, but me saying fake, I'm saying it the way the other people have termed it.
All right.
But let's move on down to our next story very quickly. Let's tell you that the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, has enforced an interim forfeiture order issued by the Federal High Court over plot 4022 Guzape District, Abuja, a property at the center of an alleged land fraud case involving property developer Rebecca Omokaro Isaac. The order granted by Justice Joyce Abdulmalik in suit number FHC Abuja CS 151-2026 was issued to preserve the disputed property pending the determination of the case. The nominal complainant is Mrs. Colleen Mero Yesufu, an octogenarian widow who alleges ownership of the property. Well, let's tell you some more. That meanwhile, a new central crew that visited the Guzape property to follow up on development reported being prevented from carrying out its work by armed EFCC operatives stationed at the site. Counsel to the developer, Maya Alibuku, accused the EFCC of violating a court directive requiring all parties to maintain the status quo pending the determination of the suit. He also alleged that his client had remained inside the property for 9 days while the premises remained under EFCC watch. Just take a look at this video.
According to the learned, his lordship, parties were to maintain status quo ante bellum. What is status quo ante bellum in law? Status quo ante bellum simply means parties should maintain the position of things as they were before the suit was instituted or before the war commenced. What was the status of things before the case commenced? Our client was in possession. That is the status of things. But upon serving EFCC, they brought under interpretation that the court saying that you should maintain status quo ante bellum means for them to continue holding on to the property until the final case is determined. So that in simple parlance, our client is being presumed guilty until proven innocent. That is what it means. It's an obviation of the law. You are presumed innocent until proven guilty, not the other way around. And our client has been locked in this property. The EFCC has defied the said order. Until today, she's been held hostage. No light, no water since she has been in the house when they took over the house on the 29th.
We're now joined by Mr. Maxwell Opara, legal representation of the complainant, 79-year-old widow Colleen Mero Yusufu. Thank you for being here this morning.
You members, you guys are doing well.
All right.
It's my pleasure.
Okay. There's too much back and forth. Maybe you would help us clarify and break things down for easier understanding, especially to our viewers who may be asking, who is the woman who's inside the house for 9 days? Why is the EFCC there? What started the whole dispute? We've said it at the start of the the story, but since you're here, you can go ahead and break it down.
Well, thank you for the opportunity given to us this morning to explain to Nigerians what is going on. That learned friend that just addressed the press now, I just saw him into this matter for the first time because he to the best of my knowledge, he's not aware, he's not conversant with the facts of the case. In the first instance, there is a subsisting court order. As we speak now, that particular order has not been set aside. What is the order? The order is for future order. Now, what is the future order? The future order is that come and show, you say that you are the owner of this, come and show them the court the reason why you own this property. Now, what is the facts of the case? It's a very simple matter. You say that, yes, I have discovered that the property is not my own, but somebody sold it for me. Why are you people disturbing me? Why not go and arrest the person that sold it for me? Now, who is the person? You refuse to provide. EFCC investigated this matter. ICPC investigated this matter. Now, he wanted to use the power of the former Inspector General of Police, Kayode, who happens to be her friend, to act justice. And we said, no, you cannot do this. The law is clear. Now, when they investigated this matter, they consolidated all the whole investigation, both the one at the police, both the one at the EFCC, and the ICPC, and investigated it, and a charge was preferred against this suspect at Federal High Court, and the other one at FCT High Court. The woman has taken plea. While the woman was granted bail, the woman was asked to deposit her international passport with the court. She went back and deceived immigration and procured another passport and used it to travel. Now, after the woman was arraigned. Now, court now ordered for future. The woman now decided to move into that particular property. And they recruited, I don't know whether I would call them bandits, I don't know whether I would call them illegal police officers, but they recruited them. Where the Inspector General and the President has ordered that nobody should use Nigerian police officers illegally. Now, EFCC have written to this woman, please vacate. We want to come and effect the order. The woman refused because she felt that she's an outlaw. She's above the law. Now, EFCC decided to come and enforce the court. He used the police to tear gas EFCC operatives and refused to come out. Now you bought a vehicle, my dear brothers. I want you to see you bought a vehicle, and they said that the vehicle you stole the vehicle you are using is a stolen vehicle. You stayed inside the vehicle and wind up and said that you will not come out, that you must be inside this vehicle. Where has it done? Are we in a banana republic? So I don't know where this one. Then he's talking about the status quo antebellum. What was the status quo antebellum before going to court? How many matters were in court? This particular one, court, the same court that Justice Abu Malik, who ordered, go and enforce this interim order. And he has enforced it, and you now came back to the court and said that status quo antebellum. What do you mean by status quo antebellum? After EFCC has enforced the judgment of the court, and your client refused to come out. As far as we are concerned, the forfeiture order has been enforced, and that remains the position as we speak.
The legal team has also accused the EFCC of disregarding a court.
Hello?
Yes, can you hear me, sir? The developers' legal team has also accused the EFCC of disregarding a court order and alleged that their client has been has effectively been confined to the property. So what's the current...
The property, the ownership of the property is not in question. The investigation has been carried out. The woman has his original document given to him by the agency. I'm talking about FCDA. FCDA has also made their own report. ICPC has also gotten their statement from FCDA. FCDA said, this is the owner. Their statement is there. This woman, where are you operating from? Who gave you the document? If somebody gave you a fake document and you bought a fake document, why not go and get the person arrested? You want to take laws into your hand simply because you have a relationship with the Inspector General of Police. What has you done? Are you above the law? Another was given against you. Instead of you to respect yourself and vacate, you decided to recruit some people and try to stop EFCC from enforcing an order given to them. It is never done, and nobody should really support this woman. Now the question there is that what are the charges against you? What are your defense? You made a statement at the police. You made at the EFCC. What did you make as this? Why are you still in that place? Is it your property? Have you come to show the court the reason why that property belongs to you? What is your problem?
Okay. The court granted an interim forfeiture order over the property. I mean, you also said that the FCC has now enforced the court's order. From your perspective, as we speak this morning, has the commission acted in line with the court's directive, seeing that there are concerns about how the order is being implemented?
Yes, of course. The FCC is a lawful organization. That's the fact that most of the times they misbehave. But this particular one, they act in line with the order. The order is there. And the order said, go and enforce. If you watch the time this order was given and the time it was enforced, you now discover that EFCC gave this woman ample time. They gave this woman ample time to respect himself. The order was published. And the woman is aware. It did not bring any motion to set aside the order. And a valid and subsisting order. Are you saying that it should not be enforced? This is to comply with the law, and the order wasn't enforced. So whoever that is going there, trying to say the woman is here, is inside that house, doing what is inside that house, that even amount to contempt of court. The woman should be, the EFCC, I don't know what they're waiting. They should break that place and get the woman arrested and arraigned for contempt of court. Are you moving a journalist trying to recruit some persons to come and do demonstration? You want to claim right in your own illegality? You want to claim right in your own criminality? No, we are not a banana republic. We should stand against it.
So what's the next steps? What's the court saying, and what's the current state of affairs as we speak this morning?
As we speak this morning, EFCC has enforced the judgment. The woman should go and face his criminal trial in a federal court and the city high court. Then also, if she feel that she has something to say, she can file action to set aside that interim order for forfeiture. That is all. So, but taking laws into your hand, that one we cannot encourage it, because if we allow this one to have a way out, other persons will do it, and it will be as if Nigeria don't have a law. That is the position.
Well, let's talk about your client very quickly, Mrs. Colleen Mero Yusufu. She's an octogenarian widow. How has this dispute affected her, and what outcome is she actually seeking from the court? Because she will be going through a lot now at her age. She should be actually relaxing and enjoying herself.
I thank God that her crew members, I think they have gone to interview this. You need to go and see this woman, 80-year-old widow. Is it because she has nobody to fight for her? Why should we be behaving in this way? Where are we taking all these things to? And this woman in question has other criminal record. She's a land grabber. And that's why those of us in civil society group are saying that, no, we cannot allow you to take something that belongs to the woman. The woman calmly explained how she acquired that property, how she acquired the property lawfully. And they feel that since you have an IGP on your own side, you can be grabbing people's land anyhow. This is not the first one. This is not the second one. I enjoy you to carry out your investigative journalism. There is what we call evidence of similar and previous misconduct. This is the suspect for you. So we are standing against it, and we will not allow anybody to win unnecessary sentiments. She's in the house, so she has no water, she has no light, a criminal, an alleged criminal, somebody who is a criminal suspect. No, we cannot encourage that.
What should finally, before we let you go, what should the public expect as the case proceeds before the Federal High Court?
What we want to tell you is that no matter how highly placed, no matter how connected you are, if you feel that you can use your connection to collect something that does not belong to you, you should also have it at the back of your mind that power is transit. Where is the Erufai today? 6-7 years ago, Erufai and Malami were everywhere. Abakare, where are they today? They're everywhere. If you know Malami, you have known everybody. If Erufai is with you, Erufai will tell you that I will not obey this court order, and you will disobey the court order, and nothing will happen. What is happening to him today? We have to be very careful the way we live our life in this country. That's my own advice to the general public.
Well, thank you so much for your time, and we'll just ensure that the proceedings are followed to the letter. And at the end of the day, we hope that justice will actually be preserved. Thanks for your time, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
It's my pleasure. Let me continue enjoying my village. I'm in my village in Azumbi Local Government Area of Imo State.
All right. All right. Enjoy your village and enjoy the nature that comes with that. At least there's no case of flood. That report, we didn't hear him say it's flooded. But we'll go on a quick break. When we come back, we'll take a look at the front pages of the newspapers, find out what they're saying, especially with the latest stories that we've brought to you thus far. Do us a favor, stay with us, and we're streaming live on YouTube. You can watch us live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times 274, GoTV 23, and Avo TV as well. Like I mentioned, YouTube, Facebook, X, you can stream live every now and then. But drop your comments on YouTube. That's where we're taking comments from. After the break, the front pages of the newspapers will be coming up next. Stay with us. Thanks for staying with us on Breakfast Central. We have a deeper conversation we want to go into, so we'll try as much as possible to be very quick and very fast with it. But let's also mention that this morning we'll be looking at the front pages of the newspapers alongside the big story, and that big story has got to do with what we did see over the weekend, where the president had picked, of course, his vice president, Kashim Shettima, Senator Kashim Shettima, as his running mate again, amidst the rumors and controversies that surrounded that selection. Many had said that he will no longer work with the president. The president was going to change. Some names were even shared, and people were saying it's no longer going to be a Muslim ticket. Rather, it's going to be a Muslim and maybe a Christian ticket ahead of 2027 elections. But don't take my words for it. We do have joining us inside the studio here as we look at this. Plus, we'll add, would embellish, add the papers to go with it. We have political analyst Mr. Charles Adeniyi who joins us this morning. Thank you so much for being here, Mr. Charles.
Thank you.
And then we have the publisher, the Niche newspaper, Mr. Ikechukwu Amechi, who seated calmly, and he's still reminiscing on the. He's trying to think about the Bajagate and your release. We're going to touch on the vice president very briefly, so we can jump into the front pages. The top stories making the front pages, the release of the kidnapped victims in Oyo State, plus what the governor of Oyo State has rightly said, just came out to say that yesterday at the press briefing, that he's calling on the international community to come in and ensure that they carry out a forensic review on the entire process. Well, let me start off first with Kashim Shettima. Let's start off with you first. So what do you make out of that?
Well, I think for me, I'm not a card-carrying member of any party, but as you say, we're political watchers. I think the pendulum could have swung either way. But when you look at the APC will not want to bargain or to toy with an arrangement that could work for them if they actually seek victory in 2027. That means that they have to be very careful so that they don't step on banana peels that could undo them. What do I mean by that? There are electoral considerations when you want to make a choice of a running mate. Muslim ticket, yes, it generated so much furore in 2023, but about three years down the line, I don't think that this administration, I may be wrong, but this is my own personal observation, that the administration has actually not, either deliberately or not, brought out policy that have been, that have favored the Muslim, how do I say now, the other side of the society. So I think if you look at that, what I rather, instead of favoring the Muslim, what you have said, just like in the days of Buhari, when Buhari, there was this ethno-religious favoritism. What you have now is ethno-regional favoritism. Mm-hmm. Of course, you have the narrative of Yorubanization and Lagosization of appointments. During Buhari time was Fulanization and Northernization. So the pendulum is swinging there. But for now, I don't think there's any need for us to fear. I don't want to fear because of Muslim ticket. But as I said, 3 years down the line, there has not been any policy that has been in favor of the Muslim against the Christian North or the Christian South. That's the way I see it.
I don't know what Amechi thinks about that too as well. Or
it was expected.
Well, I don't think that President Bola Tinubu had any choice in the matter. If he did, he wouldn't have gone for a second term with
Kashim
Shettima. But it was politically inexpedient for him to drop Shettima at this point in time, because it was going to cause a whole lot of problem for him politically. So in my own understanding of what transpired, I think the political calculation was that it was going to be much more convenient running with him again. The price to pay for not running with him would have been steeper than running with him. So he didn't want to cause unnecessary tension in his own camp. Remember that the dynamics of the 2023 politics is quite different from what we have now. And if you drop Shettima, who, like him or hate him, he has his own constituency. And those people are not going to be happy that their own man there in the presidency, whether he is doing much or anything or not, as a vice president. Of course, we have in this country the theory that vice presidents or deputy governors are mere spare tires who come in when there is a puncture in the main tire. So he is not doing anything now that is not significant other than what the president asked him to do. He has been reduced to representing the president at ceremonials. But even at that, there are people who also look up to him as his own political leader. And don't forget that the presidential candidate of the ADC is also from the Northeast, where Kashim Shettima comes from. Shettima is from Borno State. Atiku Abubakar is from Adamawa State. It is from the same Northeast. And if you also say, like some people were advocating, that let it be a Muslim-Christian ticket, how do you, the sentiment in the North is still very, very high. They would rather go for a Muslim rather than don't mind all the things they say. So if you now drop Kashim Shettima for a Christian, who is going to be that Christian? At a point, the Minister of Defense, General Christopher Abusa, retired, was touted as the man who is going to be used to replace Shettima. But like I said, I think President Bola Tinubu and his people must have calculated that the risk will be much more than allowing him not to run.
Well, I mean, at least we put that matter to rest. The deliberation on whether Shettima will be the vice president or will run for vice presidency can now be put to rest. Let's get into the papers. The Nigerian Tribune, there are a number of stories there, but we'll focus on the big story. But let's quickly run through some of the stories on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune. Senate reps set for harmonization of state police bill. Appeal court restrains INEC from recognizing Mark-led ADC congresses. Nigeria faces renewed crude output pressures as oil prices rise above budget benchmark. Federal government suspends proposed WAEC-NECO fees hike. Senate investigates 34 trillion naira import waivers by federal government. Staying fit may help you stay calm under stress, according to a study. Benga and Joe, take note. GOC gives blow-by-blow account of rescue operation. Okay, Oyo's APC stakeholders are waiting Tinubu's intervention over party crisis. We're talking about kidnapping, people are talking about party crisis. And now the big story. Makinde calls on the United Nations and others to probe Oriire abduction. Assures rescued teachers, school children of support throughout recovery period. Thanks Tinubu. Commend security agencies, Amotekun local hunters. GOC gives blow-by-blow account of rescue operation, and Oriire principal recounts ordeal. I'll start with you, Mr. Amici. Your thoughts on the governor asking for the United Nations to conduct an independent investigation. We've seen a pushback. We've seen the president, Bayo Nanuga, has responded in an interview he granted a Punch newspaper, basically inferring that you don't trust the government for you to be asking.
Even after the GOC has given a
blow-by-blow account, you are still asking for independent investigation. Is there more to it than meets the eye?
I think so. But let me start by, just like every other Nigerian, saying we thank God for the safe return of at least the ones that are alive. We now know for sure that 3 of the teachers were killed. One was killed on the day of the adoption, then 2 were killed in captivity, including the man who was gruesomely beheaded. But we have about 39 children, pupils, and 5 teachers who came back alive. Like everybody has said, it calls for thanksgiving. Look, as somebody, and I think I've said that on this station before. As somebody who has gone through this experience, as somebody who had his mom kidnapped, and that trauma lasted for 4 or 5 days. 6 years down the road, it is still as traumatic as anything can be. So when this saga was going on, I could put myself in the shoes of all the people affected. For 56 days, I could relate to what they were going through. It is an experience you don't even want to wish your worst enemy anywhere. So that they are out now, at least is a breather. We thank whoever participated, took part in seeing that these people are back with us in the society. That includes the president himself, that includes the governor of Oyo State, and all the security services. But you know, this rescue has also pointed out some salient issues which we have all been saying. Intelligence matters. Interagency collaboration matters. And when you do your work diligently, like the general who recounted what they went through, there is bound to be positive result. But let us also not forget, Olive, that there are about 50 children in Askeroba who are still in Borno State, who are still in God knows where. There are those from Wuro, the community in Kwara State. The government also needs to do whatever it is that they did right in Oriire Local Government in Oyo State. They need to extend that same strategy to other places. That said, coming back to your question, as for what the governor of Oyo State, Seyi Makinde, said yesterday, this is not the first time, if you remember. On the day, or a day before Friday, I think that was on Thursday, while speaking in Bauchi State, he said that he declared for the presidency on May 14th, 4 p.m.
4 p.m.
By 9 a.m. the following day, that this abduction took place. Something he said had not happened in the
history of that state.
7 years he has been in office.
Governor.
That was not pregnant. Now, for him to also say yesterday that, look, despite everything, this is a man who has also thanked President Bola Tinubu and all that. But he said that the circumstances are sufficiently grave and unusual. The question that all of us should ask is that, is there something that Seyi Makinde knows that he is not telling us? Is there something he knows that we don't know? It's easy to gaslight him like Bayo Onanoga has done. It means you don't have confidence in our security people and all that. That is not the issue. That's not what Seyi Makinde is not saying. Makinde had already congratulated the security agencies that rescued these people. But for him to still travel this route of casting doubt as per what happened, I think there is something he knows that he's not telling us. And if we want to get to the root of what happened in Oyo State, we must endeavor to find out, rather than shouting him down, rather than shutting him up, we must try to find out what is it that this man is trying to say. Don't forget, he is the governor of Oyo State.
Okay. Right. I'd like to take Mr. Charles Dale's commentary on this issue. Should he go ahead and say it and damn the consequences, what he thinks the independent panel will unravel? And looking at the pragmatism and the way the world works today, will there be any United Nations High Panel delegation that would come and revisit what took place in Oyo State? The governor can say it. He has immunity clause. He's not running for office again. He's in the second term. And or how do you think? Is there still more to be unraveled in your own opinion?
Well, fine.
He's running for the presidency. Sorry.
Okay, he's running for the presidency.
Yes, but APN, PDP, conjoined.
It's similar to the baby, the witch cried.
No, it's a where would it? I don't know if there are witches in this. But you see, I would like to tie myself to where Michi started from. But you see, Governor Makinde can say that, but because whoever is going to be opening the doors in the matter of speaking to the UN has to be the federal government, central government, because they own that privilege, that prerogative to say, okay, UN come, and we open that door. But it's a state government. Oyo is a state government. So Makinde is a state governor. So he has that power does not, it doesn't extend to him at all. So that's on the one hand. On the other hand, but I think, you see, one thing why we're always losing a lot of things in this country is because we don't seek to know what actually happened. Okay? There's an incident. As long as we have procured a solution, let it go. I give you an example. I was in Benin during this last weekend to make contributions to the local government elections. So we're at a hotel. Something happened. Everybody was running as then the thing, he got this sorted out. But I called as a journalist, I said, can we go back to know why did it happen? My friend, leave it as long as let's us go. No, we can't go. Yeah, we can go now. Let's revisit it so that number one thing we do is that to forestall and stave off its recurrence, because it might recur over and over again. But if you are able to look at it, get the remote causes or remote cause of that incident, be able to forestall it, and maybe stave, as I said, its recurrence. Like what this man has said now, I think is something federal government has to look at. If federal government is not culpable, is the performing way then is if the federal government is not culpable, then they have every cause to allow independent. Now, another guy is saying, you don't have trust in our military. But the military is also under the supervision of the federal government. You understand? So there is a need for an independent investigation so that let them come in. Let's look at the cause, not just Oyo. Maybe whatever we're going to be getting in Oyo, we can now copy and paste it everywhere this thing has happened, so that we can, forestall its recurrence over time and find a permanent solution to it. But if we just say, okay, now that we have found the children, I am happy, everybody is happy, let's move on. How about if it happens again?
Well, it's happened already. They've picked up a headmaster.
Yes.
Okay, good.
Requesting for 30 million.
Okay, so but if we look at exactly what are the remote causes, are there powerful interests that this kidnapping or whatever this kidnapping is serving? Like what Seyi Makinde talked about. You also talked about witch cry in the morning and a child dying in the other. So he said he declared 4 p.m. of what time it is, and then another day. Or that same day, something's happening.
Morning.
So you see, they may be related remotely. So I think the call should not be dismissed by wave of the hand. We need to actually look at it and see what can be, unnetted, so that we can look at it and say, even if we move on, but let's stop it from happening anywhere in this country. Yes.
Okay, I want us to go to the next paper. Let's quickly look at The Guardian. On the front page of The Guardian, opposition candidates in turmoil as INEC nomination window closes. Senate tightens grip on MDAs as 34 trillion naira duty waiver probe exposes revenue gaps. Oil climbs to $80 as Trump reinstates Iran port blockade, imposes 20% charge on cargo. Cancer claims over 26,000 lives daily, says WHO report. PFIPC, I'll come back to that. Ex-Minister Uche Naji arraigned pleads not guilty, gets 20 million naira bail. Atiku Obi hails suspension of 50,000 naira WAEC NECO fee hike. We've taken the Oriire story.
Uche Naji, not guilty of what exactly?
Certificate forgery.
So that means he's a graduate of UNN.
Well, he's still on trial, right?
Yeah, he is.
The courts will decide.
So it's
exactly.
Yes.
Discuss protest next new capex revenue directive. Now, PFIPC scandal. Adeyemi alleges threat to live Bex Tinubu for independent probe. I believe we have had Mr. Mechi speak on this before. So let's start with you, sir, to speak on this Baja scandal and Adeyemi scandal.
Yes.
Let's get your general thoughts on it.
Well, generally, I think it's also not something we should just move the wave of the hand, because we're only hearing from the government. And so are there people who are also complicit, or they are complicit in this? Because why I say so is that let's look at the conspiracy theory. Recently, we also heard that there's a particular commission, we call it a Majiri Commission, right now set up. You have about how much money? About 8.something billion to Taros in Ogun State. So I'm wondering, do you want to Taros to enable the Majiri to pass through seamlessly?
Or to get children out of school by tying those roads?
So Amajiri, there's no Amajiri in the south. I mean, that nomenclature is a northern nomenclature.
Absolutely.
So we do understand that if you say there's a commission for Amajiri, which means targeted at the north, so that we're able to take the children out of the street, right? And enroll them in schools. So you have that, which is very commendable. But why would you have road...
Budgets just discovered more things that were inserted. I wonder why they used that Majiri Commission. Inside that...
No, you are wondering. Okay, let me say this. Someone who is very close to politicians, I'm a politician in training, actually. So there are... See, let me say this. It's just like you have in advertising agency where you have creative departments. Mm-hmm. So they don't call it creative department in government houses. They have units that their job is to what project, for instance, if the governor this morning or something, or government this morning something to share. So what can we do to tie this thing to? Because government will not just go and then take money from anywhere. They must tie it to a project. So there are people who are charged with the responsibility of thinking creatively. This road to Amechi's village, how long have it been? Can we tie it or rehabilitate? The money is out, but not many people would know that it is tied to that. So even if they share it, it will...
How come it's not exposed when they defend this budget? Why is it not flat?
Hi, buddy. Well, but have you forgotten in this country you also take a bow and leave? So when you have the policy of take a bow, and then they also said that anything from the presidency or anything for the Tinubu government, we're going to pass it. I mean, the Senate president says so. And they also say, okay, once they see a letter, at Adeyemi's case, the national secretary, because they saw a signature from the presidency, so let them pass it without any scrutiny.
But Bayonuga said they were forged signatures.
No, that's what he said. But see, you can't be a judge. Bayonuga cannot be a judge in this case. Again, that calls for independent probe, not the government telling us. Because if government is served, by reason of Bajabiamele's position, government is served is a party in this case. So
by mandating ICPC, is that an independent probe?
The ICPC is also a government arm.
But his name has independence.
So INEC does have independence. I want to say exactly, Mr. Mechi, please speak to this, because he's written a letter. I'm going to read the introduction of the letter. He says, I write to you not as a fugitive evading accountability, but as a Nigerian citizen who maintains an unwavering belief in equity, justice, and the rule of law. This is, how part of what he wrote in the letter to the president that was dated 13th of July.
Very humble letter.
That's Adeyemi.
Yes.
See,
please put Prince.
Prince, sorry.
Let's not forget his title.
Olive, like you rightly said, when I was here last Tuesday, we discussed this issue extensively. Then in my column on Thursday, that was also the issue I treated. And my conclusion was that the joke is on Aso Rock. It doesn't matter
either way
how they try to
spin this issue.
they should be ashamed. Look, Nigerians have caught President Bola Tinubu some slack more than any other president, at least in this fourth
Republic.
Okay. The way we criticize Obasanjo, the way we criticize even Yar'Adua, the way we criticize Jonathan, the way we criticize Buhari, people seem either they are tired of criticizing their leaders, or Tinubu has a magic wand which he waves.
Or maybe they are observing table manners too.
And
they don't talk.
And there is this charm he uses to blindside Nigerians, and nobody is talking again. But the level of scandal in this administration in the last 3 years, things that if it were Goodluck Jonathan, he would have been run out of town. Things that even if it was Obasanjo, most of the things that the Bola Tinubu presidency has got away with, they are unbelievable. Look, anybody, people may want to fool themselves, but it beggars belief that any sensible human being will ever believe that one private individual, one Prince Adeyemi, will wake up, create a government agency, secure accommodation at the Federal Secretariat, open accounts with the CBN, have a budget line in the 2026 appropriation bill that was approved by the National Assembly, assented to by the president. Anybody who believes that, I am sorry to say,
believe anything, just leave it.
See, we may continue to deceive ourselves. It's just like what is happening with the opposition political parties, and where the judges continue to give judgments that people always scratch their heads to say, what is all this? And you see people coming to say, no, it has nothing to do with the president. It has nothing to do with this. Yet, when one man leaves one political party and goes into another political party that had no issues, all of a sudden,
problem will come.
Problem will come. That political party will start having issues. And Nigerians are behaving as if these things are normal, that the man has to do what he ought to do to win a second term.
They say the game is the game.
How can anybody justify what is going on? So, my answer to your question is that whether ICPC, whether EFCC, anybody who investigates this and comes to a conclusion that Prince Adeyemi went through this alone because he is a certified international con artist, that person should have his head examined. The presidency is culpable in this matter.
If the presidency had asked Gbajabiamila to step aside, will that have signaled a genuine intention or interest or will?
That will conform to international best practice.
Exactly.
You can't sit down there and you ordered for the arrest. Don't also forget that if we go by the statement that Bayo Onanoga issued concerning this matter, Bayo concluded that the police had investigated.
That was the first statement.
Yes, and found Prince Adeyemi culpable. The presidency had exonerated the chief of staff Gbajabiamila. Incidentally, and Nigerians didn't know this, but incidentally, the only eyewitness who Adeyemi said was the link man between him and Gbajabiamila, they said he died in a fire incident in a hotel in Abuja. It is still the same government who is telling us that police uncovered that this man died. Has anybody now found out what really happened? How did the man die? What was the cause of the fire? So it is government's word against a private citizen who does not have the paraphernalia and cannot stand on the bull pulpit to also say what he's saying. In any case, there is a court case coming up on July 26th. So why are you doing all this? Wait now, if the man does not appear to answer to the case brought against him, then you can now say that the man has absconded from justice. You want to get him? Nigerians must insist.
They even went to arrest his father and a man that came to eat.
Went there to eat.
You went to arrest the father. What crime did the father commit? Substituted arrest.
In lieu of...
Crime of reproduction.
What? The man said they broke down his property.
Sins of the son visited on the father.
And came and asked him where the son was. How was he to know?
Nigeria police.
And look, what Nigerians should insist in this case is that nothing should happen to Prince Adeyemi.
He's saying he's fearing for his life now.
Nothing should happen to Prince Adeyemi. Prince Adeyemi should not die the same way his go-between,
the middleman,
died. Nothing should happen to him. For once, let Nigerians know what the issues, how Nigeria is being governed.
Before we wrap up, there's an interesting story I want us to touch in the few minutes we have left.
We have 1 minute.
1 minute left.
In the 1 minute, wow, because it affects everybody in this world, including you and I. We buy petrol.
Donald Trump.
Joe has been, the marketers are laughing because they had their way. It's not coming down. Oil climbs to $80 as Trump reinstates Iran port blockade, imposes 20% charge on cargo.
That's not even what...
From 11,000 kilometers away, he wants to start taking toll in the Straits of Hormuz. Yeah. And also, he's doubling down on the International Criminal Court, say they're going after the judges, that how dare you try to investigate
That's not even
America.
What concerns
it concerns your petrol. I think every citizen of the world should be voting in U.S. elections.
It is the fact that the deal for Naira for crude that came into effect on October
can benefit from.
Now it has ended. Dangote has commenced the sale of petroleum to marketers and Nigerians in dollars. That's what my reason there.
And the implication of that is...
The place of Hormuz is in general, but this one is remote. Yes.
Unfortunately, our time is up. But this is what we're going to do. We're going to invite the both of you again. There's an update on Baja Gate. We're going to get the update before the 26th.
Are you making me Baja correspondent?
No. We love the comments online shows that you're not.
You've been appointed before. You've had a political appointment. I don't know if you paid 400 million to get that.
Okay. What's the balance? What's the balance we're expecting?